awake, not woke, is something that I've been saying for a little while now. And I remember I got super excited when JP Sears, Awaken with JP, started using it himself. And you know what? It's true. Those who are awake versus those who are woke are very, very different. And today I want to share with you a few contradictions that awaken me every day to the nonsense of the woke. What's up, guys? I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. So this caught my attention today. I saw this really ridiculous meme, graphic, whatever you want to call it, that said that men shouldn't be making choices over women's bodies because that would be like us making decisions about climate change for people who lived in 2050. I don't know about you, but I don't even see how those two things go together, to be quite honest. And that got me thinking, there are so many weird contradictions and just things that don't go together that the woke try to pass off as awakening and consciousness every day. And so I wanted to share some of those with you. The first one that I actually came up with today and shared on Instagram was about Roe v. Wade because of this wacky meme that I saw. So I was thinking about it. If men aren't supposed to be making decisions about women's bodies, that means we should, in fact, overturn Roe v. Wade because that was a decision made by mostly, if not all men, about women's bodies. If men aren't supposed to be making decisions about women's bodies, then we wouldn't want Roe v. Wade to be something that upholds law in America, because that was a decision made by men about women's bodies. No? So that got me thinking about all of the other weird and wacky contradictions that the woke make all the time. The next one that comes to mind is the slippery slope argument, in that there is no slippery slope. And I got some notes here, so if I'm looking down, it's because I'm checking in with my notes. So, for instance, they will say that there is no such thing as a slippery slope. And often people will make the argument that, well, something like trans ideology, for instance, if we start accepting trans ideology, then next we'll be accepting pedophiles. And they go, oh, no, that's a slippery slope argument. And yet they're willing to make slippery slope arguments when it comes to, well, if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, then all of abortion will be illegal everywhere. Why is it okay for them to make slippery slope arguments, but not other people? And to be fair, there are people starting to justify pedophilia. It is now being called a minor attracted person. I'm sorry, I don't know about you, but I'm not okay with pedophilia. I'm not okay with justifying pedophilia. That just kind of seems like common sense to me. I don't know why we've lost our ability to have common sense or logical thought, but apparently the world is losing it. And minor attracted people, no. I don't have enough compassion for anybody to be willing to call them a minor attracted person. I'm going to keep calling them a pedophile because, yeah, I think you should feel some shame about being attracted to little children. Yeah, that's something we want to keep from happening. And if that means someone feeling a little shame about it, I would say we should keep that up. So, while we're on the subject of trans ideology, I got another one for you. Speaking of gender as a construct, if gender is a construct, then a boy who likes girls' things and girls who like boys' things being in the wrong body doesn't make any sense. Because if gender is a construct, then there are no girls' things or boys' things. There's just things that people do. So no one can be born in a wrong body if gender is just a construct. And when it comes to this lovely, we don't know what women are thing going on right now, that reminds me of the fact that apparently, going back to what I was just talking a moment ago about Roe v. Wade, the woman's right to choose. Well, if we don't know what women are, then how do women have the right to choose? Because we haven't defined what a woman is. So how can a woman choose if a woman doesn't exist? You know, these are the kinds of things that wake me up more every day and keep me so not woke. Let's see, what else? Here's another one, and I'm sure this is something that's going to come up in response to this video, which is the idea that words are violence. You know, one of my favorite things when it comes to the woke people is how they're about compassion. They're about love. They're about you being you, whoever you happen to be. Except if that goes against anything that they're against. So at this point, we've gotten to the point where words are violence. If they do it to you, it's totally cool. You racist, bigot, Nazi. But if you do it to them, words are violence. And heaven forbid you even point out the truth to them. Because there is such thing as the truth. There is such thing as concrete facts. You know, I've said before, I am very, very much about spirituality, but there are certain things at this point in this world that they're reality. And when we start confusing reality, that's when we can start really convincing anybody of anything. So we need to understand what the concrete facts are. And there are some, despite our ability to change many things in our lives. You know, that's what my whole holistic practice is about being able to change the things that you can change. But there's something important in there, which is that we need to learn to accept the things we can change, learn the difference between what we can and cannot change, and not just accept that there is a difference, but learn the difference. So this idea that words are violence, I can't get down with that. I can't get down with that because you know what? At the end of the day, we are responsible for how we respond and react to things. So being that, and I kind of explained this in the triggers versus harm video, words can be harmful, but words are not violence. Hate to break it to you, but until they change the definition on us again, the definition, as far as I'm aware, of violence is still physical harm. So, you know, granted, they start to change these things all day, every day, all the time. But as of right now, we are still working with the definition of violence being physical harm. There is no way in which you can find a way, and I've tried, trust me, to link violence back to emotional discomfort. Definitionally, it's not possible. I'm not talking about mentally or emotionally. You know, we can allow ourselves to suffer and experience pain because of mental and emotional distress, but we choose how much suffering we experience. We choose it. Pain might be inevitable, but suffering is always optional. And last but not least, and I think the most fiery subject of all, is things like racism. Yeah, we're gonna just go there at this point. I am done. I'm done dancing around things. So here in my notes, January 6th was terrorism, and yet all of the riots that went on throughout the country for months and months and months and months and months and months, where people burned down buildings, destroyed things, those were peaceful protests. BLM and Antifa riots were peaceful protests. And January 6th was terrorism, when, as far as I'm aware, and I've seen pictures and videos, they opened the gates for those people. So yeah. That's a double standard if I've ever seen one, which is what brings me to the actual racism thing. Apparently you can't be racist to white people, but race as a construct, if any other race is race, then that's in comparison to what we're calling white people as a race. That's why I don't actually use white people. I talk about European Americans versus other races. When I actually talk about white people versus European white people versus, you know what I mean? Like, so you can absolutely be racist to white people if you can be racist to anyone else. Okay? Cool. Because, like, I have had people be, like, weirdly racist to me. And I'm all about the freedom of speech. So, like, I'm not offended by it. But the fact that there's this idea... Okay, so let me tell you a story. Back when the elections were happening, there was this... I'm going to say black guy because I don't know if he is African American or African or Jamaican or some sort of European. I don't know. He was a very dark-skinned man, so I'm going to call him a black guy. He was running for Congress, I think. I forget. But there were allegations made by his wife that he was abusive and that there was something else. Oh, right. That's what it was. He was abusive to her, and that because she had worked with him, she knew that who he was around everyone else was not who he was at home. So I came across this post about how they wanted him to win his election. And I said, guys, do we really want someone who was just accused of beating his wife by his wife and being completely two-faced? Do we really want to start blindly just pushing him as a representative for us in our country? And because he was a black guy and I am a white person, apparently, I was racist. It was racist. I didn't care what color this guy was at all. Not even a little bit. I didn't give two you-know-whats. I didn't care. I really didn't care. What I wanted to point out was that any man, and this is where these double standards of race come in, any man accused of this, we should maybe, like, pull it back a little bit and, like, consider whether or not we really want someone like that, no matter what the color of his skin is, running our government in any way, shape, or form. I don't care what his skin color is. If his wife has just recently come out and accused him of being abusive to her, probably not somebody we want running any part of our government. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But so I was being accused of being racist because of the optics of it. Because he was a black guy and I'm a white person. It had nothing to do with that. But these are the double standards that I'm talking about. Because if a black person was to call out a white guy for being abusive, oh, that would be just fine. That would be just fine. Down with the patriarchy. Huh? If it is racist for me to call a black guy out on being abusive, then it's racist the other way around. Honestly, I don't think either one of them is racist because I don't think either one really actually has to do with race. But these are the kinds of contradictions I'm trying to point out to you. You can't have it both ways. It's either one way or the other. Let's pick one. I personally don't want race to have anything to do with anything. At all. I think gender is a construct, but biological sex is not. So I think we should go back to the way I grew up, where any biological male or female can do whatever they want, and we can just not consider it feminine or masculine at all, while still sticking to the 3D reality fact that we are born either biologically male, biologically female, or physically intersexed. That's what I want. And just get rid of this construct of gender entirely. You are a biological sex, and then you can be masculine, feminine, a mix of both, because we are anyway. We are anyway. And last but not least, and this is what circles it all back, and why I brought this up last, is follow the science. And I want to read this. I really like the way I wrote this, so I want to read this specifically. Follow the science, unless it contradicts the science I think is the science. Just like, do whatever you want except for the things that I disapprove of. Follow the science except for the science that I think contradicts the science. I mean, we have literally gotten to a place where Facebook was able to openly admit in court, and the media even shared it with the world, that they weren't just censoring false information. They were censoring any information that created vaccine hesitancy, whether it was true or not. That is a dangerous place to be, and why I cannot get down with any of this woke nonsense. Because science is not always super conclusive. And science, and I am so grateful to have had the teachers that I did when I was getting my degree in psychology, who taught us about how bias can influence things like studies and science in general. And my whoa, where did that come from? My statistics teacher, one of the first things she taught us was how to recognize bias in a study. Because, for instance, you could take a graph, and depending on what increments you have on that graph, could visually demonstrate something very differently. So like, for instance, let's say it's in increments of 10 versus increments of 100. What that might look like might be blown out of proportion or minimized, just based on what increments you see a graph in. So, the science, when done properly, can be as conclusive as we can possibly get. But not only does the science have to be done, which sometimes means long-term studies, but sometimes, because we can't know what the science actually is until it's done, we need to proceed with caution and use the common sense that we actually all possess to recognize whether or not something is healthy and whether or not someone is happy. And that's part of what I teach people. I need some water. Hold on. Wow, this is going longer than I thought it would. We can all see it. I don't care what you think, to be perfectly honest. I know. I mean, maybe. Let me give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I am just the only one who can see when something is healthy or not healthy, when someone is happy or not happy. I sure hope not. But I know that I can see when someone is healthy and when someone is happy versus not. So I'm going to assume that other people can too. Granted, that is an assumption. I'll give you that. But yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave you for now. If you have any woke contradictions that I've missed, stick them in the comments. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to see what kind of responses I get. I did a video 2 years ago about why I didn't like that people were calling people Karens, because I felt like the childish nature of name calling was unbecoming of us in this enlightened age. And I got a lot of people who saw that video and were very, very upset for being called out. And I heard about it in the comments. Yeah. So I cannot wait to see what kind of reaction I get from this video. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. Don't forget, you're never alone. You might be lonely, but you are never alone. Your tribe is out there waiting for you with open arms. There is nothing that you can think, believe, see, understand that you are alone in, truly. And we're waiting for you. The Awake Not Woke tribe is here to embrace you with open arms. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out my links in the description. That includes working with me one-on-one. That includes my Patreon, where I get even deeper into the practical and the spiritual when it comes to making life, as I say, kinder and simpler, happier and healthier, ending those cycles of suffering in your life, activating that mind, body, spirit potential. I have my intuitive lifestyle course, Spirituality 101 and 2.0 series, and so much more. And that starts at as little as $23 a month. And then if you like something like this video that I've done, I have the Sanctuary of the Awakened, where I get awake, not woke. And so that's like $33 a month. And then I have my enlightening tier as well. So if you want to check out my Patreon, and especially if you enjoyed this video, I definitely recommend the Sanctuary of the Awakened. That is my VIP group. That tier is my VIP group, where we even have a Slack chat that I'm starting, where we're going to all be able to talk away from the woke internet trolls, so that we can actually have conversations about these things, where like we actually approach them with solutions and not just like being crazy. Actually approaching some of these topics with thought rather than emotional vomit. So yeah. And then I have other things like dōTERRA. If you're into natural living, dōTERRA is your one-stop shop for the best in natural living products. And they're all made with their essential oils, which are the best, purest on the market. Quite literally, they are the only essential oils that are certified for internal use. So they are really the best, purest essential oils, and they're amazing. And the products they make with them are, so good. I literally have like so many things like in arm's reach at all times. And that's just the ones that I could reach, like, without getting out of frame. I have other ones that if I, like, just leaned a little bit, I've got my whole box sitting right there. doTERRA is amazing. And they've got so many amazing options. So, working with me one-on-one, my Patreon for self-study, workshop replays was another thing that I have in there. So many workshop replays and individual study videos going on over on Patreon. I have my email list. If you'd like to get in on the free things that I do free workshops and guided meditations. So you've got to be signed up for my email list for that, especially because, you know, it's getting a little better, but if I get too awake for them and don't stay under the woke radar, you know, I could get deplatformed, and then we definitely, if you want to stay in contact with me, would want to be signed up for my email list. I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't forget to check what is going on with my tongue. So if you're enjoying my videos here, definitely go check out those links in the description. I know you'll enjoy them. And as always, may the energies you serve you well. And let's keep making our way through.